And after that conversation, I sat in the heaviness for a few days, but every day that I would wake up after this conversation, there's a name that would pop up in my mind when I would rise, and that name is Dietrich Bonhoeffer. You know who Dietrich Bonhoeffer is, class? uh, he was an awesome guy. Look him up. Dietrich Bonhoeffer, in short, he was a minister during the time of World War II, during the rise of the Führer. Very spiritual guy, and actually, he was like their version of a podcaster. So he would preach on the radio and things like that. And one of the things that he preached against was the maniacal idea of an Aryan race, this eugenics-driven philosophy that gave rise to the Third Reich and allowed Adolf Hitler to form the Nazi Party and completely take that country and those people and others into the Second World War. So Dietrich Bonhoeffer was very adamantly opposed to this philosophy. And before the war broke out, he fled to America because he saw the writing on the wall. And from memory, I think he lasted about 26 days in America, and he wrote back to a relative, and he was so convicted in his heart at what he saw happening that he said, "I've made the wrong decision. I would have no right to rebuild a Christian Germany if I did not endure what's going on with my people." And so he got on a ship, and I think it was like the last ship that left before the war officially broke out. And he went back home to Germany to be with his people and to do good where he could during the reign of a madman. And so, a lot of historians say that the miracle with Dietrich Bonhoeffer was that he lived as long as he did, because he was just a very outspoken guy, very critical of, the Nazi Party from the very beginning. And that was a death sentence in a lot of cases. He when he did get back to Germany, he refused compulsory service. He was like, "No, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to go, fight in your insane war and kill innocent people," which branded him basically a traitor. So that was a death sentence in and of itself. But miraculously enough, I think he had a brother who was in military intelligence and got him a job, away from all of that. So Dietrich Bonhoeffer, throughout the course of World War II, put into practice, not just with words, but with his actions, what he felt Christ would do if Christ were in that situation. And what did that look like? Well, it looked like, helping Jewish people avoid concentration camps. It looked like, smuggling people out of the country. It looked like joining resistance cells of people who were not going to go along with the dictates of a madman and the hierarchy beneath him, going all the way down, from the SS to the Gestapo. So this man of God, this minister, Dietrich Bonhoeffer, violated the law in a lot of different ways in order to put his faith into practice. And so a lot of you may have heard of, Operation Valkyrie. There was a movie, you can rent it on whatever, with Tom Cruise is in the movie, but he was connected to Operation Valkyrie, which was it was a plot of Germans by Germans to assassinate the Führer with a suitcase bomb. He was actually connected to that. So, of course, Operation Valkyrie did not go off as planned. Hitler got, a busted eardrum and singed pants when the briefcase was slightly moved away from where it was supposed to be. Well, the Führer was so infuriated after Valkyrie that He used the Gestapo and their national database to hunt down anybody that they could connect to this assassination plot. And Dietrich Bonhoeffer happened to be one of them. He wasn't a mastermind or anything like that, but he was connected to it. And so Dietrich Bonhoeffer was ultimately arrested. It spent the rest of his life and World War II, in Nazi cages. And there's tons of stuff online that you can look up about Dietrich Bonhoeffer. His writings were absolutely brilliant. If you want to ever be inspired by literature during times of treason and tyranny, where it seems like my friend who called me, everyone around you is participating in the wickedness, I would suggest you look up, the writings of Dietrich Bonhoeffer. But what I wanted to really hover over, because I think that myself and a lot of people who are listening to me and my friend who called me, the veteran friend, I think that what we're all kind of trying to process is what Dietrich Bonhoeffer was really trying to process and wrote extensively about, which is, how is it that you can get a nation of writers, of poets, of artists, of mathematicians, of good people? How do you get an entire nation who had so much potential to follow the hierarchy of a madman and do ungodly things, unthinkable things to other human beings? It really tore at his mind, as it tears at mine. How does that happen? So he had a lot of time to think about this and write about this in Cages. And do you want to know what he came up with? It wasn't evil. It wasn't the devil. It wasn't malice. When he came to his conclusion on how you actually get a nation of people to go along with a madman and do criminal things, ungodly things, he came up with stupidity. Mass stupidity. Now, this is not to say that the Nazis were uneducated or not intellectual. That's not what he meant, because you can be highly intellectual, highly educated, but get caught up in the collective stupidity that Dietrich Bonhoeffer was talking about, right? And let me read a quote from Bonhoeffer that I found. Now, this was letters and papers from prison. Quote, "Stupidity is a more dangerous enemy of the good than malice. One may protest against evil. It can be exposed, and if need be, prevented by use of force. Evil always carries within itself the germ of its own subversion, in that it leaves behind in human beings at least a sense of unease. Against stupidity we are defenseless. Neither protest nor the use of force accomplish anything here. Reasons fall on deaf ears. Facts that contradict one's prejudgment simply need not be believed. In such moments, the stupid person even becomes critical, and when facts are irrefutable, they are just pushed aside as inconsequential, as incidental. In all this, the stupid person, in contrast to the malicious one, is utterly self-satisfied, and being easily irritated becomes dangerous by going on the attack. For that reason, greater caution is called for when dealing with a stupid person than with a malicious one. Never again will we try to persuade the stupid person with reasons, for it is senseless and dangerous." End quote. Dietrich Bonhoeffer, Letters and Papers from Prison. Check it out. So He was of the opinion that, stupidity is worse than evil because evil people typically know that they're doing evil. Stupid people count what they're doing as virtue and integrity. And I totally feel it. Like, I totally feel what Dietrich Bonhoeffer was talking about right there. Because when you try to point out some of the issues that are going on today in the collective of America, it's very frustrating. It's like beating your head against a wall. People think that the evil that they're participating in incrementally, or even just by a hair, that they're doing something virtuous, or it's or with integrity, when it couldn't be further from the truth.
For more witty words from DLC, subscribe to downloaded content on all your digital doohickeys. If these clips hit, don't just keep scrolling. Subscribe to the downloaded content newsletter for dispatches from the void you won't find on your algorithmic feed. Catch the downloaded content podcast on Spotify for unfiltered conversations worth your insomnia. Hit subscribe on YouTube if you're ready for more signal, less noise. And pick up Then Came the Flood by Daniel Louis Crumpton, because if the world's on fire, you might as well have a good book in your hands. Links are below. Don't just watch, join the few who get it.